start this video with a confession, as seems to be a pattern with me. I gotta admit my culpability into something with Ghostwatch. So if you do a search for Ghostwatch here in YouTube, you're gonna see two things. A whole bunch of thumbnails of people going like, and they're like talking about how people were victimized by this hoax, and that there were traumas and tragedies surrounding it, and they'll have a bunch of newspaper clippings up, and then you're going to see people shocked, scariest thing ever, or one of those like eight-sightings-of-Pipes or whatever exploitation bits. The thing is, both are exploitation. It's not, if you have someone getting all sympathetic and going, oh my God, what a terrible tragedy that this happened, that's called true crime. We all love true crime. So the BBC airs this thing, and then after it airs, the broadcast authority hauls the writers in and takes them to task for creating a sense of menace. What the hell else are they supposed to do? That's their job. Let's not pretend here that this isn't what we want. This is what we need. We need menace. We need fear. Now, I'm not going to pretend, however, that people didn't get hurt, and that's bad. It's bad that people got hurt. And I'm not gonna brush that off either. So here's the thing, me as a YouTuber, I've got this choice, right? I've got this choice. Do I just pretend that the tragedies never happened, or do I lean into them and get all finger waggy about it? Here's the thing. I'm the worst of it all, because when I heard that this was banned, when I heard that people were traumatized, when I heard that someone died, I wanted to watch it even more. I'm not alone. I think that's the normal reaction. I think it's a freaking healthy reaction. Modern society, we don't experience danger and we don't experience fear daily. Not usually anyway. It's not a daily reality for us that we fear like something is gonna get us and we gotta fight for survival. And so what's left? Hours and hours of binge watching true crime drama, detective shows on TV, murder mysteries, whatever. We need it. When something like this comes along, we need to be able to say, oh, there's the danger. And we want to be able to feel it. Part of the research I was doing for this latest watch of the movie, I came across an audio commentary with film historians. What are their names? Shelley McMurdo and Stella Gaynor. I will link it below because it's really, really good. And one of the things they talk about throughout all this admiration of the movie, throughout how much they love it, how significant it was, how important it was, they also talk about how they saw it when they were children and it literally traumatized them. And in fact, talking about some of these scenes, they got uncomfortable. One of them, at least, got really genuinely uncomfortable in a way that you might say was negative, and yet we crave it. It's just there. It's just a part of us. So having said that, let's be real about what happened. This was done so effectively. This Ghostwatch production was done so perfectly, and I'm going to use most of this video to describe how it was done, because genius. This was done ingeniously, especially for the time, but even now, I've watched it 5 times, or probably more than 5 times now, still get chills. It's still effective. When I was just flipping through, looking at clips, I still felt something. This movie was great. It was great. And also, children watched it, children were traumatized, and Martin Denham died. That's his name, by the way, in case you didn't know. Martin Denham was just a boy watching a spooky Halloween show that, by design, lulls you into a false sense of security, gets you super comfortable, and you get tucked in for a boring kind of hour and a half of people telling ghost stories and nothing happening. And then they made it seem like the world was coming to an end, or at least his world. And he took the escape that he saw was possible. That really happened. We can't pretend it didn't. And I think I'm in of two minds of this. This is like nuclear material, man. We need this. There's a part of us that needs this stuff, but also we have to acknowledge that it's kind of dangerous. Ghostwatch is when things get dangerous. I don't say any of this, however, to shame anyone. The people who made this did their job, and they did it well, and I love them for it. Not their fault. What happened happened. And you know what? We shouldn't feel bad for getting a little bit wide-eyed when we hear, oh my God, someone died watching this movie. That's the natural reaction. That's how we're wired. That's how we're built. We are all entertained by suffering. We are. We shouldn't be ashamed of it. We just should manage it to keep each other safe. That's the job here. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to talk to you about what happened in the movie and how it worked and why it was so effective. And we're going to address the main question, the big question, the only question that matters, as I always say, should you watch it? Well, I'm going to break it down because some of you shouldn't and some of you should. That's the nature of art. It's not always for everyone. And that's why I don't rate things on a scale of 1 to 10 because it's immaterial. It doesn't matter how good it was. What matters is if it's for you. That's what this channel is all about. That's why I never give anything number ratings, because that's asinine, frankly. Okay, enough being a snob. Hi, my name is CJ. I am your movie god for the Found Footage podcast. And if you've subscribed, you're already a member of the Cult of the Movie God. So welcome, my fellow Found Footage fanatics. Hit the button below. You know the one. And roll the intro. Here we go. Yeah, today we're confronting the legend. Ghostwatch 1992. Ghostwatch 1992. This falls into the category of analog horror inadvertently because it's filmed in 1992 over the analog airwaves, kind of broadcast quality, and so it's that texture to it. But before I start breaking it down, let's read the official IMDb description here. In a, quote, live, unquote, broadcast on Halloween night, a BBC team investigate a reported poltergeist in an ordinary London home. All right, Ghostwatch 1992. Basic setup is like a call-in show. They're going to do a ghost investigation. They're going to talk about reported sightings of a mysterious ghost in this family that's been haunted by this ghost aggressively. No one will believe them, but tonight we're going to get to the bottom of it. And they do a big montage with the trucks rolling out. You see the guys hauling gear, and it's all very exciting. And well, we've seen this before. We've seen ghost hunting shows before. They make a big show of being all super professional, and they find nothing. And that's what you kind of expect. Now we are introduced to our staff, our professionals behind this, and it turns out that it's a bunch of recognized faces. At least if you're in the UK at the time, they're recognized faces. You got Michael Parkinson, you've got Sarah Green, and you've got Mike Smith. All these guys are just presenters. They just do various presenting. They generally don't do a lot of acting. Michael Parkinson, as far as I know, never did any acting outside of just this one role. And they're all acting as themselves. So you have no reason to believe that this isn't just like a regular show. They're doing call-ins or whatever, getting ready to see if the audience sighted something on camera. And then at the location, you get outside of the house, you get Craig Charles. Craig Charles was an actor and known for his role in Red Dwarf, which is a hilarious show. It's awesome. And so he's there as himself, hamming it up for the camera, trying to add a little bit of levity. He's making jokes with the people who are gathered outside because they're all excited because there's, camera trucks and cameramen and audio equipment, and everybody sort of has. And so he's the one who's out there finding out lore from the neighborhood, hearing what the neighbors have to say, getting some background on what's going on. Inside the house, there's Sarah Green, and she's interviewing the family. The family is a mom and 2 daughters, and they've got their stories to tell. So it's very domestic and feels like not a lot is going on. They set up apple bobbing. I mean, they're whatever. But as the night wears on and the kids sort of get ready for bed, they start telling stories about pipes. Pipes is what they named the ghost that's in there. And they start talking about hearing voices and feeling like something's on them or something's breathing right behind them. Little stories like that you're like, as an audience, you're like, whatever. Okay. But they're interesting enough, right? So you settle yourself in after a while so that everyone can tell their ghost stories. Even the hosts, they have their canned prepared ghost experiences. And they kind of make fun of each other for like, yeah, I'm sure that happened, kind of thing. So you settle yourself in for a kind of a nice but probably boring hour and a half where everyone just tells a bunch of ghost stories. You don't expect to see anything because they set you up to not expect a damn thing. It's like every other ghost investigation. So as the thing goes on, we do catch a few things. At one point, somebody calls in saying, I saw somebody standing by the curtain in the one room. So they roll the clip. And when the clip plays, yeah, there's someone standing by that curtain. But the hosts, they're like, I didn't see anything. Can you roll it back? Play it again? They roll the clip back. So you watch them rewind it. They play it forward. It's not there. And this becomes a pattern throughout the whole thing. Sometimes you as the audience will see things that no one else sees. Other times callers will call in saying they saw things that you didn't see at all. And so, okay, neat. An apparition. Now I'm invested. And gradually sound starts playing a role, banging in the pipes. And we get a plot twist at one point, and you start to think maybe this was all made up, despite the evidence. And they show you a lot of evidence. They show you a bunch of dishes that were broken, and the only way they could have been broken, according to some scientist somewhere, was dramatic heat change. So that the top of the teacup, that's the word, top of the teacup popped off because of a dramatic temperature change. I don't know how that's possible. And they have photos of things flying through the air, pillow flying through the air that apparently nobody threw. And what else was it? Oh, and the one girl got all scratched up. And Dr. what's her name? Dr. Lynn Pascoe says, oh, I watched these scratches just appear in front of my eyes. So, okay, cool. These are nice stories. These are interesting stories. They're keeping our attention, despite the fact that we don't get to see any of this happening. But predictably, the spooks mount. You start seeing more and more spooky stuff. It climbs and climbs and climbs. It escalates and escalates. And then, there's this skeptics chime in, start saying like, oh, well, it's probably all made up, or are you sure they didn't do it to themselves, or, whatever. This American, oh, this guy was perfect. They had an American Skeptic come in over satellite, and he's just the perfect heel. He makes you want to believe the family by being over the top skeptical, to the point where when he makes a comment about, I want to believe that I'm going to go to heaven, but there's no evidence. And for the time, that's really great, because most people had that like baked in Christian values. So for him to even question Christianity and to call all Christians dupes really made people really just want to like, okay, all right, I believe this family now. Like you're siding, like it's a moral choice. Brilliant writing. So anyway, we have a red herring at one point, and then things escalate to the point where, oh my God, pandemonium, total mayhem. They've got to get this family out of the house, but they're having a hard time getting out of the house. I won't spoil why, but it's organic. It makes sense that they're having a hard time leaving, but oh my God, everyone's in danger. But the feed gets cut, and they're having a hard time communicating. Nobody can talk to anybody inside the house. Craig Charles outside doesn't even realize that he's on the air. He's just chit-chatting with the cameraman and just wasting time. He doesn't even know he's on the air. Like, everything's messed up. And then we see feed from inside the house, and they're all just like sitting around the living room playing cards. Everything's fine. I mean, they can't seem to hear us, and we can't really hear them, but that's fine. And this was for me, the best moment of the damn movie. Because for me, everything's quiet. We saw these people in mortal danger. I mean, you knew, you were sure they were in mortal danger. And now all of a sudden they're playing cards. Something's wrong. And they stretch this tension out for what seems like an eternity, forever, before they finally break it. I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but when everything finishes, it does not give you closure like most found footage movies. Most found footage movies, even if it's a ghost, the ghost gets them, the end. With Ghostwatch, when it's over, this is the beginning. It's in your home now. It's on the airwaves now. It's all over the UK now. You're not safe. And then the credits roll. Now here's the thing, because the credits rolled, that's your reminder that, just like all the ads said, this is a drama, this isn't real. But because they never broke frame, this all felt like a live show. There was a phone number you could call. I mean, it was It felt real the whole time, and they never hinted within the show that this was fake. So everyone just sort of felt messed up by it. It just felt like, oh my God, what just happened? Is Michael Parkinson still alive? I mean, we don't really know at the end. Like, anything could be possible at the end. And, you know, it wasn't until the next day when, like, the panic had set in and BBC was flooded with complaints. Everybody from the show had to go on the air and say, yeah, it's okay. But it was already too late. Already too late. A nation was traumatized. All these kids who saw this show and whose parents saw like the first half hour and went, oh, it's nothing. Yeah, sure, kids, watch it. I mean, and why wouldn't they? Like, it's fine, you know? We all got lulled into a false sense of security, figuring this is a boring show about a bunch of people telling ghost stories and nothing's going to happen. And then it became this powerful force that threatened anyone who watched it. You know, it was so effective. And I mean, I have seen this thing so many times. It never lost its potency. So that's the plot in a nutshell, but I really don't want to ruin it. You know, again, I've said I've seen it 5 times and it still scares me. So I guess I don't think you can ruin it, but that's me. Strictly speaking, I'm trying to keep this channel spoiler free, and that's what I'm gonna do. So that gives you a sense of it. But in the end, the main question, the big question, the only question that matters is, should you watch it? Now, if you're a found footage fanatic, if you love a good ghost story, and if you are a media historian of any kind, I mean, you have to see it. This is a significant moment in history. It's one of the only pieces of media that has an entry in medical journals as being responsible for actual trauma in people. I mean, and justifiably so. So this is one of those things that you're like obligated to see. It's a piece of history, but also it's effectively spooky. I would have to say this is probably the scariest thing I've ever seen. I don't remember ever having been scared like this one. It's perfect. It's artfully done. And if you ever want to learn about pacing, if you ever want to learn about how to make something scary and still PG, this is it. Because there's no gore. I mean, I guess there's a little gore, but it's so minor. There's no violence, really. It's just terrifying. Everything's implied. You know, you can make Ghostwatch today. I mean, you have everything you need. I mean, in your home, if you're not, you know, aping that you're the BBC or something. It's the ultimate lesson in filmmaking and getting the pacing right and implying things without showing them. And yeah, see it. However, there are some people who should not. If you are sensitive to ghost stories, if you don't like the feeling of being haunted after the fact, and if you have objections to like spiritual concerns, this won't leave you feeling good. You're going to feel traumatized in a negative way, in a way you don't like. And yeah, skip it. It's fine, man. It's just a movie. You don't have to see it. You're okay. And likewise, I have a feeling that some of this is going to be lost on younger generations, only because I get a nostalgia for watching it too. I mean, I recognize all the camera equipment they used at the time, the CRT monitors they used, all that stuff. There's a tangibility to it all. Nobody had cell phones, you know. So there's a nostalgia that's going to be lost on younger generations. Not to say that younger generations won't love it, but I could see a kind of person that just doesn't connect with something, that doesn't try to connect with them where they are. It'll potentially fly past certain audience. You know yourself. So, you know, I talked about this in the opening, but I need to sort of readdress it now. I don't know where I land on how to deal with this, because this was art so potent, so perfect, that it hurt people, and that's bad, right? Bad that people got hurt. I don't approve. However, I also don't blame the filmmakers, because they did their job. They did it great. I love this movie. It's fantastic, but people got hurt, and that's a bad thing. So how do I process any of this? How do I reconcile these two things? And the fact that when I heard people got hurt, I wanted to see it more. I got excited. And I don't feel guilty about that. I think that's a very natural reaction. When you hear something happened and people got hurt because of it, You want to know more. You want to know as much as you can. That's normal, man. It's why people watch true crime. And that's why there's so much of it. And people who think they're too sensitive for true crime still watch their detective shows. You know, you're still watching Matlock. You're still watching Elsbeth. You're still watching all these, you know, Miss Marple. People killing each other and going, gee, how did that happen? There is a fascination and interest, a natural curiosity. And I don't think any of us have to feel bad about it, but real harm. If you guys have a path forward, a path through, a path around all these feelings without feeling guilt over enjoying something that it's natural to enjoy, I don't know, man. Let me know. I need your help on this one, honestly. I don't have it figured out. Maybe I never will. For now, next time, finally, we're going to do Backrooms next time. And that's it. Hey, thank you once again. And I can never thank you enough for being here, for being on this journey with me. It means a lot to me that you're here with me, watching these videos and you know, letting me know that you're there. So my fellow found fetish fanatics, take care of yourselves. Till next time. I don't know, I'm doing this a lot. Am I too shruggy? I relax the shoulder. Imagine including all this part, it would be very stimulating.